My twin got the scholarship, the internship, and the acceptance letter. I got sent to boarding school for behavioral issues. My parents sat me down in the living room, while my twin brother stood in the doorway smirking. My mother slid a brochure across the coffee table toward me. The glossy cover showed a brick building surrounded by mountains and barbed wire fencing. I picked it up, and my fingers went cold. The words, Behavioral Rehabilitation Academy, were printed in bold letters across the front. My father cleared his throat and adjusted his glasses. He said this was for my own good, and I felt my chest tighten. My brother crossed his arms and leaned against the doorframe. I could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue even though no tears were falling. I looked at the brochure again and saw words like troubled youth and structured environment. My hands started shaking, and the paper rattled. I dropped it on the table, and the sound echoed through the silent room. My brother smiled wider, and I wanted to throw something at his face. The next morning, my father loaded my suitcase into the trunk while my mother watched from the porch. My brother stood at the window eating cereal and waving at me with his spoon. I climbed into the back seat and slammed the door hard. My phone buzzed with a text from my girlfriend asking where I was. Another text came from my best friend saying he heard rumors at school. The car pulled out of the driveway, and I pressed my forehead against the cold window. We drove past my high school, and I saw students walking toward the entrance. My stomach twisted when I realized I might never go back there. 3 hours later, we pulled up to a gate with security cameras mounted on poles. A guard checked my father's ID and waved us through. I saw teenagers in matching uniforms raking leaves near the main building. Their heads were shaved, and their faces looked hollow. My father parked, and a counselor in a polo shirt opened my door before I could react. He grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the car. I spent the first month believing my parents would realize their mistake and bring me home. I wrote letters every week begging them to reconsider. I described the cold showers and the 5 a.m. wake-up calls and the hours of manual labor. I explained that I had never done anything wrong and this was all a misunderstanding. My letters went unanswered for 6 weeks straight. Then one day a counselor handed me a thick envelope from my mother. I tore it open with trembling hands in the common room. Inside was a newspaper clipping from my hometown paper. My brother's face smiled up at me next to a headline about a full scholarship. There was a second clipping about his summer internship at a prestigious law firm. A third clipping announced his early acceptance to an Ivy League university. My mother had written one sentence at the bottom of the page. She wrote that my brother was proof that good parenting works. I crumpled the paper in my fist and felt something break inside my chest. A new student arrived 3 months into my sentence at the academy. His name was Derek, and he was from my hometown. He recognized me immediately, and his eyes went wide. He pulled me aside during yard time and looked around nervously. He said he knew why I was really there. I grabbed his shirt and demanded he explain what he meant. He said my brother had told everyone at school that I attacked him. He said my brother showed up with bruises and a black eye claiming I had beaten him. I released Derek's shirt and stumbled backward into the fence. The metal rattled, and a guard looked over at us. Derek whispered that everyone believed my brother because he was the golden child. I slid down the fence until I was sitting in the dirt. My brother had framed me, and my parents had believed every word. I started gathering evidence the next day with Derek's help. He smuggled in a phone charger during visitation, and I stole a phone from an unlocked office. I contacted old friends and asked them to send screenshots of my brother's social media. Photos arrived showing him partying on the nights he claimed I was abusing him. Messages showed him bragging to friends about getting rid of me. I found a video of him punching himself in the face in his bedroom mirror. Derek's sister had recorded it through his window, thinking it was strange behavior. I saved everything to a hidden email account and waited. A lawyer who specialized in wrongful commitment cases responded to my message. She drove 4 hours to visit me, and I showed her everything on the stolen phone. Her jaw dropped when she saw the video of my brother hitting himself. She made phone calls in the parking lot for an hour. The truth came out in a courtroom 6 months after I first arrived at that prison disguised as a school. My brother had fabricated the entire abuse story to eliminate competition for family resources and attention. My parents had paid $40,000 a year to lock me away based on his lies. The video of him punching himself played on a screen while my mother covered her mouth. My father gripped the armrest of his chair until his knuckles turned white. My brother tried to run from the courtroom, but a bailiff blocked the door. I was released that afternoon and walked out into the sunlight a free person. My parents tried to hug me in the parking lot, and I stepped away from them. I climbed into my lawyer's car without looking back. My brother was later charged with filing false reports and fraud. I moved in with my grandmother 3 states away. The acceptance letter to my own college arrived at her mailbox the following spring. I opened it at her kitchen table while she squeezed my shoulder and cried.